here today. Let's get you unmuted. Me unmuted. So our colors are off a little bit today, but that's just how it's gonna be. Maybe I'll make a quick edit here. Okay. So, how is everyone doing today? I've been doing okay. I've been getting by. I think it's a good way of looking at it. Today's been a wild day with the kiddos. Part of it's my fault. Part of it. Okay. That looks like a decent volume there. So, what are we up to? Yesterday, I sat down with ChatGPT and I said, ChatGPT, I want a game engine. I want an ECS. So, yesterday, and then a bit today, but mostly yesterday, ChatGPT wrote all these files for me. We've got a collision system. We've got a we have an entity component system based game engine here. So we got the ECS that's right over here, right behind my face, I guess. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to. We have an entity component system. We have a input system, physics system, a rendering system, and a collision system. Now, a lot of these aren't really implemented. They're just skeletons that are implemented. So today, we're going to go through and we're going to start turning some of these skeletons into actually something. So let's go ahead and get started on that ball of fun. And yeah, I changed the screen size, and that changed how things render, and that's fine on the stream. All right, so currently we're just using Python 3 for our web server. Nothing at all fancy. Get that wrapped up there. I'm really not super happy about my whole situation here. The entirety of it, I'm unhappy with, but I'm getting by. That's about all I can ask for, I guess. All right, so let's go to our game. You've had time to mosey on in. If anybody's moseyed in. I guess what we want to do. This thread is gonna be no good. It's been sitting there for all day. Any token it had is long gone. It's too busy. ChatGPT does no longer does well with leave it and come back in an hour. I've lost 100% of my sessions today and yesterday where I did that sort of thing. Not even an hour, like 30 minutes, and it's gone. Sometimes less than that. Sometimes with a complete need to relog. I don't know if they're updating systems and things change or exactly what goes on there, but it's been a bit interesting to say the least. Let's start real quick. Start with a quick look at what we have going on here. So So we have entities. We have components and we have systems. A component is just a thing you attach to a object that has everything that the relevant system will need to process it. So, for instance, a render component, I don't have that even open. So let's scroll this down and remember how much we dislike. I really need to go through FCE and change some settings. Okay, so our render component it has an appearance. So that's how JavaScript or how ChatGPT thought we should do it is have this dot appearance, and then we'll just render the appearance. And I suppose that works. And then we have a rendering system that extends that. Process entity, yeah. So it's got a process, and then this would be the render. So we're going to tell ChatGPT. We're just going to give it this little snippet here, and then we're going to ask it to build out this system to work. Let's say seems to define a component that represents the appearance of an entity in a game or application. The appearance property of the component likely used to store information about how the entity should be rendered, such as visual appearance and graphical representation. The rendering system class, okay. This to finish the system to work with a element. For now, I want to have, what is it I want? Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. You want to let ChatGPT automate a few things for you, like rendering backend. Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly where we're at. ChatGPT is going to build my rendering backend. I really need to get that in a place where I can see it. Finish the render system to work with a canvas element. For now, I want to have. I want to to render basic primitives. Sure, here's a possible implementation of the rendering system class that uses a canvas element to render basic primitives. So does this look like it'll work? We have a render component, render system, process entity code, case rectangle, circle. I didn't save the results of this, but I was playing a couple days ago. I think it was yesterday, and I had it build me a particle system that included colliders, and it just like it builds everything for you. It's pretty cool. I really enjoyed playing with it. Okay, this implementation of the rendering system class takes a canvas element as an argument in its constructor and stores it in the canvas property. I'll get that there so I can actually see chat. Okay. The process entity method of the rendering system class first receives the render component for the given entity using the get component method. If this entity doesn't have a render component, the method simply returns. If the entity does have a render component, the method uses a switch statement to determine the type of rendering to be done based on the type property of the component, then uses the appropriate method, the canvas rendering context, to the enemy. For example, the type is a rectangle, uses fill rectangle. Type is text, it uses the font text fill to render the text on canvas. This is just one possible way to implement the render system class, but it should give you an idea how. Okay, let's see how well it does. It did. Rendering. Here we go, and let's make this bigger so everyone can see what's going on. We're gonna just pop that in there. Render component extends component. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this for appearance. Oh, appearance X, appearance Y, appearance width, height. Okay, that's. I guess it's an object with the relevant qualities. All right, I'm just gonna save this and then ask it to give me an example of how to use it. Okay. And yeah. How this would be used. Okay, it doesn't understand how I've got things named, but that's okay. It doesn't need to. I just want to see how it's going to be set up because, yeah, it's late. My brain doesn't want to think. Okay. So we import the render component in the rendering system. Canvas equals document.get element by ID game canvas. Const rendering system equals new rendering system. Canvas. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's pull down our game here and let's put that setup into here. Okay, rendering system equals new. Yep. And that is what we're calling it, yes. Okay, and now const engine equals new engine. We don't actually do that. Engine.add. We don't have an engine per se. We just make a rendering system. I maybe should have an engine. Because we just make the system and then we call it down here. This is probably what it's missing actually, is having a engine per se, an engine file or engine object. Um, okay. Input system, collision system. So here we add some stuff to it. Player entity equals new entity. We've got a player entity up here, so going to add component render component. We need to make a player render component and then add it. Okay. And now we need to make an enemy. I'm actually going to just take that whole section and we'll take that player and enemy. Whoops. I guess the enemy didn't get. Okay. Sometimes I know I'm just literally copy pasting over, but it helps me to add um to add it this way. Okay, and now the render system needs to have um a component player render component. Oh my word, my brain is not working this today. Engine. I don't have an engine add. We need to add the entities to the render component. Yes. Or render system. So take that entity keyword off of there. It's just extra. And then we'll get rid of enemy2. Okay. Now let's see. This should render something. Player entity is not defined. Enemy entity. Yeah, I did that. I missed one. Okay. This over here is what I'm looking for. Enemy1 is not defined. Enemy1, I thought I deleted all the enemy ones. All the ones. I guess I missed the 1-1. Okay. I don't think I've defined the canvas size, so let's look back through here. When we set up the canvas, Game canvas. Okay. Rendering. I saved this, right? Canvas. Yeah, it's all set up right. That looks good. Okay. Just double checking. Man, my brain is fried. This is gonna be a short one tonight. I have a feeling. Collision system, new collision system, input system, new input system. I can't even remember what I'm doing for 5 seconds. We had a bug. We didn't have well, it's not rendering. Oh, that's what it was. It's not rendering. We need to add a width and a height. Oh. Let's be reasonable here. Okay. All right, we have a canvas. It's white. Do we have colors on those? Color. Yeah, we have colors on those. Okay, so still not rendering. Is our game loop actually being entered and running? Are we doing the whole request animation frame thing properly? Pardon me one moment while I clean up code alignment. White space, cleanup time. Okay, well, oops. There. That's, and then start the game loop. It happens down here. I know I should keep all that. We're still pretty early in this process, okay? Come on. Brain is tired, needs some brain. I guess I should just come back over here to the debugger and see if we're actually getting into... There we go. We are getting there. Okay, so now let's pull up our rendering system. Okay, we're running the old code because my web server kind of is lame. Reload that. There we go. For some reason, it does not reload properly the codes. Entity get component is not a function in rendering. Render component equals entity.get component. Yeah, that's not how this... Okay, is something wrong with the process? Okay, this is where I realized that there's something I didn't check when I was setting all this up. And I'm probably too tired to go through and fix it. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Coffee might be the way to go. So down in, let's see which, ECS, in the entity component system, we can add components to entities, and then we can add entities to classes. I don't think that got set up to do anything in the render function. I think it just assumes that the system will take, or the base class knows how to do that, and it doesn't, and it probably should. Oh no, this does. Yeah, this makes it a set, and then it says this. That should work. So why then are we calling? Okay, it's not as bad as I thought. Where did I throw my rendering? There's rendering. Okay, so when we process the entity, we're saying render component dot entity dot get component. Render component. Do I need to call a get component? I don't have a get component on the entities, do I? No. This is the fun of pair programming with a computer that forgets everything. Okay. Oh, we have a set of components, so we should be able to say that okay, so what are we calling? We're calling a in the render system process entity t dot equals entity dot get component render component. Okay. And it's complaining that there is no get component on an entity. Okay. And it's correct. See, we registered the entity when we registered it with the system. Where is it? When we register it with the system, we say rendering system dot add. Do you not have a? Oh, it comes from the base class. Add entity, remove entity. So it adds the entity. It doesn't need to know who the entity is. It only needs to know who the base class is, or who the component is, and then it, yeah. Right? It's been too long since I've written one of these myself. I may go make that coffee. Of course, then I won't sleep tonight, so maybe I won't make the coffee. Maybe we'll just make it a short night on this one. Okay. We're just going for the super basic. How... I'm just going to say entity, tell it I don't think I want to get the component. Am I right about that? I feel like I'm right about that. Do want to store entity or just with the system? Tell me, ChatGPT. Yeah, it's up to you, man. Generally, is recommended to store just the components with the system rather than the. Yeah, that's what I thought. Entire entities. It's because systems are usually responsible for processing a specific aspect of entities, such as rendering physics, AI. Storing just the components relevant to the system allows it to operate more efficiently, as it doesn't need to process components it doesn't care about. For example, rendering system. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, why do you store the whole the okay. Don't think about it. Just complain to ChatGPT and let ChatGPT figure it out. Did it? Of course, you got to figure out what to complain about. I discovered that makes all the difference in the world. Um, okay. Type appearance, import, export, class rendering system. Okay. This version, the class stores a set of render components in the render components property rather than storing entities. It also has add component and remove component methods that can be used to add or remove components from the set. The update method of the rendering system class iterates over the render components set and uses a switch statement to determine how each component should be rendered. This allows the rendering system to focus on rendering entities rather than worrying about. To use this version, you need to modify the code that adds and removes entities. Also, yes. Copy this code. Okay. Well, it said it did what I wanted. So we'll copy it, we'll paste it, we'll see if it does what I want, and then we'll go back and troubleshoot it. Exactly. Sudo make my engine. Unfortunately, you have to make it in little pieces. I really wish you could make it in big. It would spit out big enough pieces because that would be hilarious. But no, I had to make it in pieces. And so far, this all stub code, mostly stub code. So we're getting past that. We're starting with the render system. Yay! Okay, and what are we doing? We are modifying our. Oh, it didn't finish. And let's see how we got lucky. We got with the continue part. It looks like it's kind of smart. Oh, it's gonna give me the whole its version of the engine. That's fine. I only need these 2 bits of code, and do they even change? Engine dot add entity. Only we're down here saying render system dot add entity player and enemy. Okay, that stays the same. And we save this, right? Okay, now we just have to play the game where we go back and forth. Refresh this manually a couple times. Refresh this manually a couple times. Hey, there's no errors. Well, we're still not rendering anything, but there's no errors, and all my files are showing up, so that's good. Okay. Let's look over here again. Compare real quick a couple. That looks same. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. I need to put a better web server that refreshes quicker. Or maybe set a flag on my web server when I run it so it refreshes pages sooner. Okay. So we're in rendering is our update function getting called. For render component, this dot render components. Oh, there was something I did need to. No, it's still. Okay, hold on a second. So in the game, we put in game render component. Rendering system add entity player. Add entity player enemy. Okay, so then in here, when we add a component, so it's adding the player thinking it's adding a component, or does this? I mean, the player has the render component, so that gives it. No, but so why is it working, or why is it not crashing? Oh, it's nope. Please use unprefixed image smoothing enabled. Okay. Switch render component type case. Okay, let's take this breakpoint off here. Okay, we're hitting that breakpoint. We should also be hitting the circle breakpoint. No, we didn't. We didn't hit either breakpoint. We should be hitting both breakpoints. Yeah. Man, I just accidentally clicked all over that, didn't I? Okay. Not hitting breakpoints in there. Are we hitting any breakpoints in here? Are we like running the game loop? Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, this is where I realize I'm an idiot. I never added the render system to the game loop. Why won't it go? 'Cause you didn't add it, you dummy. It's never entering the code. Okay, let's try this again. Take out all the unnecessary breakpoints. Okay, now if we go into the rendering system, we should actually do something now, right? Rendering system update. Yeah, there, right there. Hey, we hit the breakpoint. Okay, we are hitting the breakpoint. Case this dot begin path, this dot context, arc, appearance. Okay. So arc, okay, with those values, rectangle with those values. I mean, we should be rendering stuff now at least. Should. I don't see anything rendered though. Looks like a pretty empty canvas. Okay, first let's make sure we're actually rendering to the correct canvas and not to some other canvas that somehow exists. Game canvas is named, yeah, it's named game underscore or dash canvas. So that game canvas equals get element by ID game canvas. We pass that into the rendering system. Oh, we didn't. We were updating the rendering system. Okay. I'm blind. Blind and tired. Okay. Rendering system dot add entity player. Rendering system dot add entity enemy. I'm gonna move this over here. That's more where I look. Okay. All right. Why are we not rendering? You can still see it. You can see just fine over there. Oh, what did I do? Turn that off. Go away. Go to this scene here. Sorry, something's gone wrong with OBS. Please stand by while I attempt to figure out what is going on. There we go. Okay. Crisis averted. Okay. My camera's still dead, but you know, you don't really need to see me. All right, I have canvas. Nothing's getting rendered to the canvas. Okay, we were gonna check in the rendering what happens. Rendering system extends constructor canvas. This dot canvas equals canvas. This dot context equals canvas dot get context 2D. Everything looks okay. That's the canvas that got passed in. So now when we call update, we're rendering to the context that we got from that canvas. So we should be rendering. What were our locations? Where are we putting it? 50-50 and 32-30. 50-50 and 10-10. Oh yeah, should be good. Oh, coffee, yes. Coffee is good. I should get some, but I need to sleep tonight. On the soon side of things. So we have a rectangle from x2 or 10-10. Okay. We know, back to the debug, we know we're calling the render. Let's look at rendering and debug. Switch rendering. Okay. We still don't have render components passed in. It told us that it was doing it, but it didn't. That's what it is. If we look at the whatever it passes to it, when we add a component, when we say this dot context dot fill style. Okay. Well, I got to hit a breakpoint so that I can actually do some looking. Pause on a breakpoint. Okay, now we can actually render component of this dot render components. Okay, so render components is empty. Has zero entries. Yes, RGB. It's just RGB is what it's, yeah, it's RGB. The color is. Although that would be great if it was, yeah, that would make sense. But no, not rendering transparent. It's as obviously I just figured out. The render component size is 0. So therefore render component is undefined, so it kicks out of the for loop. So when it runs, when it calls, where is it? It's calling add component, not add component. It's calling add right here. The function needs to be renamed because it's named add entity, and it needs to be named. It needs to be named add component because that's what the system needs. Rendering system dot add enemy render component. Let's see if this fixes it. See, that was in game, so we should just kill the breakpoint, see if anything happens. Nope. Put another breakpoint in. There's still no render components. Well, let's go to ECS, add component. Now let's reload the page. Type rectangle. Length name. Okay. Components has a size of 0. Component still has a size of 0. So the components aren't getting added. Okay. And the plot thickens. Components aren't getting added. Oh, wise ChatGPT. Why are components not getting added? I guess it doesn't know because this thread didn't write this code. So we're going to want to edit this. Be sure that you're creating the render component instance correctly. Each render component should have a type and an appearance property. The appearance property should be an object. Okay, let's let it finish typing so that I can go back and rewrite I'll go back and look at what you just said in a minute, Carlos. Let's try and say not that. Control V. And you only need to know about the add entity section. This is the what's it called, base. But there are no okay. Looks like it empties a list or recreates. Okay, let me try to figure out what you're looking at in the main loop. This is the main loop. It should just update the system. It shouldn't be adding or removing any components. Let's see. Here's this is the fun part. It's got some engine in its back of its brain. It's similar to the engine it made the last time, but it's like, oh, here's the engine code. Um, calls the on entity added method on each of the items in the system. Okay, so I'm just going to ask it to give me the whole engine class, and I'm just going to replace my old lack of engine class, and we'll just go from there. Can you me the entire T out there? Certainly. Here's a possible implementation of the engine class. Well, yeah, I think we may just not have an engine class. I may have just, yeah, because I was just trying to get a bare bones test of everything else. That would make a difference. I forgot about that. Okay. So basically, it's missing some implementation, or was missing some implementation. So we'll just copy this code. We'll use this. Pull up a new file. Save this as engine.js. And that looks good. Throw a little tag in the top of here so that you can tell. Slash. There we go. Okay. We'll tuck that away right there. And now we'll go back to his previous example of how to make the world go around. Import ECS and render system. Okay, so we'll just copy that. No, I'm not going to do the whole thing. There are parts of this I want to keep. Okay. We do need to. Entity. I guess I could have put engine in there from. Okay. Very good. Now we just count this all the way down. Well, the engine should. Yeah, that should all just work. sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay. Got a breakpoint there still. Oh, an entity added is not a function. System. I think we just need to rename that in the ECR, ECS, or it should be system. Whoops, not you. I need to find a tabbed editor that in Linux. This is wreck. It's a nightmare. Entity system. Add entity. Yeah, we just need to say add entity. Too many of these ribbons. Okay. So under engine, for const entity, this dot entity, system dot add entity. Okay. Well, I'll make a note. This is named wrong. Okay. There we go. Engine. It's there now. Game. I should just go back. Engine, and then we have to hit refresh because I made changes. And that usually takes care of it. And now we still on entity added. It did not refresh. Engine. Oh, it's refreshed. Game. Yeah, code folding would be nice too. Um, I'm using a basic text editor, so haven't found a good tabbed. I want Notepad plus plus in Linux, but I don't have the equivalent, so I haven't found one I like yet. Anyway, um, okay. I forgot where I was again. We were looking at why this is still says that that looks like that when it obviously doesn't. Oh, that's what I changed, right? Add entity, add system. Oh. Wait. Just on entity removed. I think that's named wrong. We're just gonna maybe I don't know. I'm gonna figure that out later. Something's not right, and my brain is too tired to figure it out. But now's the only time I had time to dig into it today, so here we are. Yeah, we're checking the engine. We're making sure that it's reloaded. Okay. Add entity is not a function. System.add entity. No, because systems. Oh, what is? Don't I add entities to systems? What is it supposed to be? System add entity. It's right there. Add entity. Right there. That's what it looks like. Okay, engine. All right. Oh, it's a lowercase a because it was. Okay. Engine. Are we there yet? We're loaded. Okay. We have no those bugs, but we're still not rendering. So we're going to go to the base class of I'm not sure what you said syntax about, but entities base class base class call of add entity right there. Okay, reload it. Paused on breakpoint. Size is 0. That's okay. We'll go to the next one, and it should be 1 now because it hasn't. Okay, we're adding entities. That's good news. I should watch that. Let's add this to our. You can't add to a watch. Watch player. Well, it won't do me good to watch it. Yeah. I guess what I would want to watch would be render dot. What's it called? What are we adding these guys to? Render components. Okay, well, if we get to here, well, here, still undefined. Size is 0. Size is 0 still when it goes to update. Are those getting removed somehow that I'm not seeing? That should never be reached. Add. You know what? I think I know what it is. I think it's adding it to this dot entities, and then it's getting pulled out. That's what's going on. So when we add components, actually don't need the add component defined here because that's defined in the engine or in the yeah, it's defined here. When I add an entity to the, yeah, that should all be good now. And we did upload that. Continue past the breakpoint. Okay, we add render components. We haven't reload render. I guess I should call this. Oh, I gotta go through all these places where it says render component. No, I just have to go to the for loop and change that. Okay, that's not too bad. Components, which is actually called entities. Okay. That's saved. Core, no, not core. What are you thinking? Rendering. Make sure that reloaded. Where is it? Entities. It reloaded. Okay. We have two things there. And we have two entities in there now. Perfect. It's a size of 2. Hey, there we go. Entities, size of 2. Entity 0. Components. Entities, appearance, and type. Okay. Still not rendering. Unrecognized render type undefined. It looks like there's too many levels of entities. Should have entries 2 and it should have 0. Components size 1. Yeah, it's getting all the components added to it. I only passed it the render component up here, or the component. Sorry, the add entity. Okay, so the problem is in the engine file now, engine code now. The engine, when it adds an entity, system.add entity. Okay. For systems. Okay, but that doesn't. Okay. We're going to do this real quick. And if this works and makes it render, I'm going to call it successful and go to bed for tonight. My brain's a fog. Render system. I know this isn't quite right. I got to get an entity registration fixed. So that's going to be tomorrow's project. Fix entity registration. But player entity rendering system render ing. Gotta be consistent with names. That one. Okay. Two entries, components. There should not be a list of components and another list of components. Well, I think I got to call it a night. It's been fun. Thanks for joining me. I'll probably be back tomorrow some random time whenever I have the time. And maybe I'll delve into what this registry, component registration should look like, because my brain's just too foggy tonight to fix that for some reason. Anyway, it's been fun. Thanks for joining me. If you had lots of fun, feel free to like and subscribe. I'd love to see you back sometime. And have a wonderful rest of your day, night, whatever time it is for you. Bye. If I can close close my live stream.